Okay, so you
I
sent me this video today.
yes. Yeah. Okay, so I didn't really know much about her. The only like
Mhm.
prior to this whole thing, to this whole drama, only like thing that I knew was that she would like sometimes pop up on my feed. Rarely though, like very
Mhm.
rarely. Occasionally she would pop up on my feed on TikTok. And 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 usually it would be like either it would be about like, knowing your value, like you have to know your worth, like if someone's like
Yeah.
disrespecting or like abusing you, you have to like stand up and leave. um this kind of like boosting your confidence type of content, like
Mhm.
empowerment kind of thing, which I feel like is valuable, like people, including myself, sometimes do need to hear that, I guess. So that was like that's one thing. And then another thing would be like a little bit something that I don't really want to engage with too much. It's like something about like manifesting and like that kind of content. I don't really feel comfortable engaging with the content. I don't know, like manifesting or like getting too much into like the universe and the divine stuff and then or whatever. Oh my god. And then that's B. And then C would be often like get the bag, like all men are cheaters, they're like worthless. Well, I mean, I don't know if she did say that, but it was more like, like they're gonna cheat on you anyways. Like
Wait,
they
so
don't feel.
she said they're gonna cheat on you anyways?
No, 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 that's just me projecting. I don't
Wait,
know
what
if
did
she
she
actually
actually
said that.
say?
She actually, hold on. She actually said like, um, that you shouldn't feel uncomfortable demanding for money
Mm.
because they don't feel uncomfortable like asking you to take your clothes off and like on the
Oh,
first
okay.
or second day, so like get
Mhm.
the bag, like,
Okay.
um, and also kind of saying like mm, um if you're like doing everything for him, like paying for him, and then he knows that you're not gonna leave, like you're like kind of stuck in this relationship, he knows that you don't have any better options, you're not gonna leave, then obviously he's gonna cheat on you, he's gonna leave you, you know,
Oh, so she did say
because
he is gonna cheat on you if you like depend on him too much, I guess.
yes,
Okay, okay.
not
Hmm.
depend, but like do things for him. She said like
Oh, okay.
if he knows that you have nowhere to go,
Oh, okay,
if
okay.
he knows
Hmm.
that you're always gonna be there, then
Hmm.
he's gonna
Hmm.
like cheat on you.
Sounds like she had a really rough past, by the way.
Which, yeah, exactly. That's like another thing. She did tell that first of all, her father cheated on her mother, and
Mm.
then left the family completely, and then married this woman, like or like somebody else. He married
Oh.
somebody else. Yeah. So he cheated. Well, even before he cheated, he was kind of a deadbeat father. I guess is what
Mm.
I gathered, because she was saying that my mom was like the provider. She was working. She was like putting food on the table, and he was like kind of abusive and like didn't really do much.
Mm.
And then he cheated, and then he left and married somebody else. And I feel like she has, well, obviously she has this trauma, right?
Mm.
And
Mm.
it kind of felt to me that she was like hyper fixating on that.
Right, right.
And but the irony is, the weird thing about it is like she kept like saying like, oh, my mom was like this, she like put food on the table, she made sure that we were like provided for, which I'm sure is difficult, especially as a child to experience. But it kind of feels like she either was already kind of prone to being in a codependent relationships because of her parents,
Mm.
or she was like hyper fixated on it and be like, oh, I'll make sure that I'll like never end up like my mom, kind of.
Right, right. Hmm.
she was like scared of it so much
Right.
that
Hmm.
she somehow did like
Oh,
360
right.
and ended up in that same situation.
Kind
I
of.
mean,
Yeah.
that's not
Well,
exactly the same, but
actually, if you think of it, very similar, right? Because she's saying that her mom was a provider, right? And she still got cheated on.
no, I know. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
So
also, I mean, I guess like what they are all like, she and other like content creators like this, like what they, they're like get the bag kind of people, like it doesn't matter. All men cheat.
right.
You just have to
And,
like think about yourself.
and she literally, it seems, turned out in that situation where she does get the back, just like her mom, and just like she's saying, and she does get cheated on, just like her mom, and just like she's saying, because it does seem like, again, I don't know. I didn't know anything about this woman until this
Really?
whole thing. Yes. And so it does sound like she keeps saying, he's going to cheat. So just get the bag. And this is exactly, so she was, I guess, kind of prophetic to her own self in that way.
Yeah, but like, why though? She was so even painfully aware of her mom's situation, where the mom was like left with two, I think at least two children on her own, being forced to like care for this family by herself. She was like painfully aware of that because from
Doesn't it make sense that we kind of repeat our parents'
I know like
lives, even if it doesn't matter, if we look up to them or we don't want to repeat their lives, it seems most of us, most of the time, end up following pretty similar patterns, right?
even if we're like aware, even if we know exactly what went wrong, even if we
Yeah.
know exactly what quote unquote not to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still, and also
Yeah.
like I don't know if you know, she is well. They say that she's 4 months pregnant,
Right, right,
um,
yeah.
and also I'm not still 100% sure if they're married or not, like legally,
Right. Well, I mean,
because
she keeps calling him my husband.
yeah, people are saying that they keep saying that, but it's actually unclear if they are actually married because he's saying that they're not legally married.
Oh, I had no idea. Yeah. I didn't hear
Yeah,
any of
yeah.
his side, by the way. I only saw, okay, from my perspective, what happened was literally I had no
Mhm.
idea who this woman is. And maybe like a couple days ago or 3 days ago, I started seeing on threads this
Mhm.
whole see women, men will cheat on you, so you
I
better get
know.
your
I
kind of
know.
actually
Get
her
the
narrative,
bag.
by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
really her narrative. That was so funny not to think about. And everyone's hating me. And I'm like, who is this lizard wizard person? I have no idea. That's all. For some reason, that's how I remember. Even today, and then today, you send me this video
Yeah.
of the Q&A that they did with her
Yes.
husband. And
Hmm.
even then, when you sent me the video, I was like, oh, okay, let me go see it. And then on YouTube, I was like about to search for her name from looking
Yeah.
at the video that you sent me and remembering the threads that I've seen. Oh, also on the threads, by the way, like when I opened it, I saw actually what I saw was, and what I know is that, so basically that he cheated on her when she was 4 months pregnant, and her fans are accusing him of stalking her for some reason because they by accident
Yes.
met at an airport once. And
Yeah.
then so that's the accusation. And then I saw the stories that he posted, and I mean she posted, and from that I know that yes, she was 4 months pregnant. And then he, during that time, Snapchatted some girl who reached out to Liz and showed the
Yes.
Snapchats, and it seems that
Yes.
they are confirmed that it was him reaching out to this girl wanting to meet her. But I think that's it, right? They didn't meet. But
They
she
didn't
knows,
meet. No,
yeah,
no.
but she knows that he did try to flirt and meet up with another girl while she was 4 months pregnant. And
And
in those stories, she was saying that, you know what, I'm professing this, you know, zero tolerance, value yourself
right,
kind of
right.
persona. So I'm gonna fill those shoes and I'm breaking up with him, is what she was saying in those stories.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And also on in those Snapchats, which he posted himself, but I think now deleted. He was saying that in the text messages, in the exchanges between this girl, he was saying that they are not legally married. Yeah.
So why does she keep calling him my husband?
Well, people are speculating. It's just
Hmm.
a speculation at this point. We don't know, but people are speculating that because she mentioned many times before that I think she's a Muslim
Mm.
and they were like married in front of God, in the eyes of
Oh, I
God.
see. Oh, right, right.
They
Like
probably went
nikah, I
to
think they call it.
nikah. Yeah, yeah. They probably went through like some kind of a ritual.
So you just go to like a mosque and then they say you're husband and wife now, but it
Mhm.
holds a zero official value.
That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I
yeah.
see.
It
Mm.
seems like they're not actually legally because a lot of people were also saying like, never like have a baby with someone that you're not married to, you know.
Right,
And then
right,
people
right.
in the comments were like, well, but they are though, and there was like an argument. People are not sure if they are or are not actually married.
Right, because I would have thought that too, because she kept calling him my husband, so I just assumed she wouldn't lie, but I guess that's not an assumption I should have made about her. Actually, once I started kind of, you sent me that video, and as I was watching that video, I was kind of getting fishy vibes from both of them. And then,
That's
because
mm-hmm.
I'm an avid Reddit user and I'm an,
Yeah,
I like my detective internet work.
yeah.
So I immediately start Googling things and looking at things, and I'm like, oh, yeah, confirmed. Both of them are fishy.
Confirmed what?
Well,
Oh my god. Yes, yes, that is true. That's why I actually sent you that video, and I also wanted to, since you said you know nothing about her, because I already had my own ideas about her, even though I wasn't like she has like so much like so many videos and content online. It's impossible to go like
mm,
through all of it. But
mhm.
she sometimes pops up on my For You page, and I don't really know a lot about her, but I already have formed an opinion about her prior to this whole drama. But you don't know anything about her. So I wanted to know, like, what was your first impression without the prejudice that I might have based
Mm.
on that video?
I feel like I should give a disclaimer first before I start
Right.
talking, because it just
Yes.
seems like, from what I've seen online, again, like I said, I had no idea who this woman was until on Threads all of a sudden. And I remember it just kept being shown to me like over and over again. I'm like, oh my God, who
Yeah.
is this woman? I don't watch her content. I have no idea who this lizard woman is. Why is this
Yeah.
getting recommended to me?
Yeah.
And what I saw was this seemingly overwhelming support from fans. Everyone
Mm-hmm.
seems to
Mm-hmm.
hate him and love her,
Yes. Yes.
which at first I thought, kind of makes sense, not knowing her, like someone cheated on a 4 months pregnant woman. That sounds horrible.
Of
That's an
course.
asshole.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
especially, when your husband cheats on you, that's horrible. Anyway, so.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
watching this
Obviously.
video
Yeah.
in the comments also as well, I just saw again overwhelming support, which is not unusual for YouTube. I feel like these days when you go to see the comments on YouTube, usually the top comments are like extremely supportive of the creator. And you have to like scroll down, 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 very low to like the last comments usually to see any kind
Oh,
of
really?
critical comments. I feel like that's
When
true,
I
like I would say 90% of the time.
That might be, but like when I saw that video, and then after the news broke out about him cheating, I my comments were like they were like these. I saw these and these like red flags. I saw these
Oh, that I
signs.
too. But even the red
Okay.
flags were all about him, nothing
Yes,
about
that is
her.
true. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That is true. Yes.
Right. So, but like she's like this, white angel,
I know.
it seems from
Mhm.
but when I was watching, I was like, this is not, again, I also have to, oh, so my disclaimer was going to be that if you're a fan of her, I'm guessing you're going to be triggered by the upcoming
Yes.
conversation
Yes.
because
Yes.
I don't have a lot of positive things to say about her either.
Not, but neither of them.
Right, right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying either. Because yes, he obviously, if he cheated, and it seems like, this is confirmed information that he cheated on her while she's 4 months pregnant. Obviously, asshole.
Default. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Obviously.
But if anyone happens to be watching this video, hoping that we're gonna, make her out to be the
Yes.
white angel, like the comments seem to be, we're not going to because,
That's why
um,
I wanted to talk about this because I feel like, at least on my For You page, I don't know, like, you didn't seem to know her at all. Some, like, I do get like TikToks on my For You page saying that, like, mostly like, saying how, yeah, this like angel she is and how dare he cheat on her mother.
yeah,
And I like, while I sympathize with that,
right. It's horrible.
I
It's
feel like
horrible.
it's not as black and white as it seems.
Yeah,
You know.
nothing justifies what he did.
Yes.
I feel
Yeah.
like we should
Yeah.
get that out of the way. It is horrible. Nothing justifies that. None of us would want to be in that situation.
Hmm.
However, I don't think she's an angel either.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Exactly. Yeah.
first of all, I was a little like immediately from the first minutes watching it, I
Uh
was a
huh.
little kind of taken aback by just there was immediately tension between them that I felt. A little, it's like
Yes.
aggressiveness coming from her and just tension in general that I immediately felt.
Yes.
For example, even when he tries to be saying like some nice things, like he says something like, this is literally like the first 2, 3 minutes of the video. He says something like, "Oh my God, you look so beautiful right now, babe." Like, and
Right.
he's like to the viewers, like, if you think so too, like this video. And I mean, it is a little cringe, but she reacts like, no, don't say that. No, like something like that immediately. I'm like, wait,
It did feel
why?
off. It did feel off. Yeah.
Why? First of all, why the aggressive reaction? If, for example, I feel like if I were me, I would probably be like, well, thanks, babe, for saying that I'm beautiful, but like, that was a little cringe. Anyways, moving on. But she was like, no, no, don't say that.
I thought
What?
the aggressive reaction was like, to me, it felt like he was like kind of pretentious and dishonest and fake.
Sure, sure. But again, in my relationship, I don't think I ever did, and I don't think I would. Like, just kind of cut someone off, even if they were kind of, sure, even if they were cringy and a little weird, but essentially he's
Um,
paying you a compliment. Why just
right,
cut? And it's your partner, your husband, supposedly.
right, right.
Why just cut it off like that aggressively, first of all? And why tell anyone what to say and not to say? I just don't agree with that, like on a very
Mm,
fundamental level. Like, don't tell
mm,
anyone, let alone, your husband.
right.
Say this and don't say this, talk like this and don't talk like that. Like, I would never, I don't know. I think it's disrespectful personally. If someone tried to do that to me, I wouldn't take kindly to that. And I hope I can't remember doing that to anyone. I hope I don't do that to anyone. And if I tried to do that to anyone, I feel like they would be totally justified in telling me, don't tell me what to do.
What to say or what to think. Yeah, that moment was off. It was weird. I
And
agree.
and I know that later on they tried to, or she tried to play it off like, oh, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. That's how I joke. Just like I just don't take
Yeah.
things. I just don't take anything seriously. She tried to, but he was clearly communicating to her that what you say when you try to. By the way, he said you try to purposefully get a reaction out of me, get me angry for no reason. It
Right.
really, I don't. It bothers me. It
Right.
makes me really angry. That's just how I am. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
again, your husband, supposedly someone you love and value, is trying to communicate you. I'm not taking these things as a joke. This actually hurts me. This really is playing on my nerves. I get genuinely angry. And she, by the way, later admits herself that, yeah, I do notice you getting actually angry. And I'm like, why is he angry? Well, maybe because you just woke him up on a plane, like, babe, babe, and he wouldn't wake up and, babe, babe, and what? I made tea. He's like, what? You made tea? Yeah, for myself. And he's and she thinks it's a joke. But he's like, these things make me angry. Don't wake me up on a plane to just
Yeah.
say what I made tea for myself. She obviously thinks it's cute to make him angry.
Yes, yeah, yeah, no, and also that's something that I feel like I can relate to as well. I because like I sometimes also get kind of testy,
Mm,
and I'm because to me when you like you're not supposed to um like lash out or like yell at me or like get angry like my
mhm,
partner, right? Like I would feel, and I guess like sometimes I also do that. Not
mm,
not like not as much as she does, maybe, I don't know. But I also can relate to it sometimes when I'm doing something um maybe like borderline,
mhm,
but
mhm.
what I
Yeah,
want to see
I can kind of see you doing that. Yeah.
and I want to see him being like chill and calm, you know. But then if
Mm,
he gets
mhm,
like angry and like he like, for example, lashes out at me, like starts yelling or like gets like really emotional about it, I would be turned off by that, you know. And I guess that's what I'm trying to see um, in relationships, you know,
mm.
like getting a little like testy.
That's interesting, actually, because, in our relationship, there are situations when I get frustrated by you. Um,
No, no, with you, I don't do that on purpose.
well, maybe not
Well,
consciously, but you know how when, for people, when they have a tendency to do something consciously, they kind of get into that habit, a bad habit, and of just being like, oh, it's silly. But, just people might not take it that way.
I guess as far as I know, like I don't think I do that with you or like with like my friends. Well, yeah, yeah. It's only about uh like my boyfriends or like people that I'm dating.
Wow.
I feel like
Yeah, I remember you saying like, it's like I think you even said like, I like it's like this like like annoying buck and they're just like and I just
and I want
don't
like what I want to
yeah.
see is them being because I don't want to like if they start being like emotional like yelling at me snapping at me then I feel like I will kind of like understand that it's not my person. I don't want that kind of man because I am inevitably one like in the future I am going to be emotional and snappy and kind of like maybe unreasonable in the moment, but I need somebody who will be able to say like okay it's like so cool, not like to react back even more aggressively.
Well, Sure, you don't want someone who reacts aggressively, but I can also see someone reasonable, non-aggressive, experiencing that bzz, bzz, bzz all the time and being like, I'm out.
Oh,
No thanks. Why would I?
but then
See,
he's not
I
gonna
feel like
be.
it's again, by the way, interesting, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. You're testing for an aggressive guy, but you're actually filtering out the reasonable ones because the reasonable ones are going to be like, I'm not,
The
what the fuck
fuck?
is this shit? I'm out. They're not going to stay. The only ones that are going to stay are the ones who are, playing the long game of being like, okay, let me just patience. I'm going to endure this now because, and then there's some other game they're playing.
I know that's
I
what I
don't
was
know.
like also wondering. Like, it kind of does feel like a self fulfilling prophecy on her end. This whole
Oh,
thing.
but not on yours though.
No, what do you mean? No,
Right, okay, moving
no, because
on. What?
right, okay, okay. No, because like you know, like it's not like it's impossible. You will have like people that are just like their baseline is calm. Their baseline is like more calm and optimistic
Also, I
already.
just I just feel like testing someone also is not kind of, a healthy start to a relationship, like trying to annoy someone on purpose in order to test them. I feel like it already gives off a bit of an unhealthy energy. And again, I think people can sense that. I think people can,
Hmm.
I feel that. And again, I feel like healthy people are just not going to stay in that kind of a situation. They're just going to be like, oh, this is whatever game she's playing because, just I'm not into this. I'm moving on. He's going to stay calm, but he's not going to want to be with you, is my opinion. So you just again,
Yeah,
it's a
you see,
lose-lose situation and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So then with the guys that end up next to you, it's only a matter of time until he snaps and shows his true aggressive colors.
that would be kind of hot too, though.
See, self-fulfilling prophecy, and probably also a
Oh
little bit of kind of deceiving yourself. You're saying you don't want an aggressive guy, that you supposedly are testing for
no,
it, but you're saying that if he snaps and get aggressive, that would be kind of hot. So, which
no, eventually,
which
he's not
actually,
supposed to snap every time.
but eventually you want him to snap and beat the shit out of you.
No. No, no, no. There's
Because
obviously a
that's
line.
literally
There's a
that's literally what the word snap is about. There's a whole series on Netflix called Gold Snap about women who snap and murder their husbands.
no, 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 no. There's obviously a line, and like my belief is that I'm the type of woman that wants, yeah, somebody who is able to be aggressive, but it's not gonna be like snappy and emotional every time something irritates. He's like able to keep his calm until a certain point. There's a line.
Are you saying this Jordan Peterson thing? Oh, like a guy who's capable of aggression,
No, yeah,
but he
yeah, yeah.
holds it. That's a
Yes,
true man.
yes, yeah. No, also like okay. Example. Um, like with my friends from uni, right? We're always like mocking each other, like joking around. And I remember we were talking about something, and Anna, my friend was like, so there's like a girlfriend and a guy friend, right? So we're like three of us are sitting together, and we're like talking about this and that, and like, oh, like he looks like he's like something, like mocking this guy that's also like part of the friend group. And then my friend, the girlfriend, was like, "Are you in a dick in your mouth?" And in that moment, I was like, "Okay, I don't know." I was like, maybe that's a little bit much, but he was like, but I looked at his reaction. His reaction was like, "No, I want like your mama's juices or whatever," because that was also like a running joke between us, like saying that he's like into her mom,
Okay.
and he has never seen her. It was just a joke, And that's when I was like, okay, like, whew, we're safe,
It's fine, yeah.
because she made kind of a risky joke. I feel like, especially for a guy to say like, "Oh, you want to dick in her mouth, in your mouth," but he responded with a joke to a joke, and that was like great to me.
Well, yeah, I don't think her joke was off limits because from the context, you're saying yourself that beforehand in your friend group, it was already established that it's okay to joke about how he has a thing for her mom, right?
Right,
So
right,
I feel like in
right.
that kind of context, it's kind of considered, I think, by everyone that it's okay to make the dick in your mouth kinds of jokes.
Right, right.
So yeah, I feel like in that context it was fine. However, I feel like we also need to keep in mind that this is a friendship, right? You know,
Yes.
a friendship
Yeah.
that was formed like what is it, a year ago that you moved to Italy.
Yes.
So you guys know each other since then. Um, but like this is like when you're husband and wife, you have to still feel physically attracted to each other in a year, 2 years, 5 years. And I feel like if you make too many dick in the mouth jokes, that can
Yes.
kind of, basically questioning, like, say, your husband's, what is
I
orientation,
agree.
masculinity, or like
I
putting him
agree. I
down in
agree.
some way. Over
I agree.
time, it's just the physical intimacy is gonna get, I think, is gonna suffer.
I agree. Because also she also says that in that video, in the Q&A video, she also says that in the previous relationships they were like a lot like friends. There was
Right.
no like it wasn't like intimate romantic connection between them two. There was she actually I think she even said that there was like, no intimacy or like very little intimacy.
Well, I think she meant like emotional intimacy. Like she was, well, because that was a moment too that I was going to talk about as well, where she says, like, we wouldn't really talk much. Like, there was no kissing. Like, there was no depth into that relationship. We just lived together. And when she,
But then
and then he said, no, don't say that. Like she said something like we were just living together like best friends, and I think she was kind of intimating like friends with benefits kind of situation because he then said,
uh
no, don't say that because it makes it sound like it was just about sex or
it's
something
too
like that.
physical. Exactly, exactly. No, because like what she said also didn't make sense because you're saying that there was no like emotional connection, but then you're saying you were best friends, like you were living as best friends.
I think that's what she kind of meant, like kind of friends with benefits situation. Like we were just friends that were like kind of, how like guys are friends where they barely talk. Like they just like kind of live together, and then she just happens to
I
have
um, a
but
pussy,
but yeah, and that's it. I
I
feel like
guess.
that was kind of what she was intimating, and they obviously had way more conversations about this than we know about. So he kind of stops her immediately in those tracks. It's like he's like, don't say that because it makes it sound like it was just physical.
Right. That also didn't make sense to me.
Well, it didn't make sense to us because she was kind of like speaking out of both sides of her mouth because she's like, we didn't kiss, but we also weren't talking, but we were like best friends. Wait, so if you weren't
Right. What
talking
does that
about deep
mean?
conversations, but you're best friends, what are you talking about? I think what she
I
was trying to
know.
say was that we were just kind of living together as two dudes, but just, and then at night, that, and that's it.
Occasionally having sex.
Right, I think which that's, from I'm guessing that's what she was trying to say, and from them having had way more conversations about this than, we know, he probably knows where she's gonna go with this. She's like, don't say that. Which again,
No, because
where I was
uh-huh.
also gonna say that where I saw, because like I said in the beginning, when she told him, no, don't say that, I thought that was rude. And when he did this to her, I also thought, okay, that was also kind of rude. Like, no, no, don't say, like, no one should be telling each other what to say, how to say, especially in such a way. I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I weird? I think that's unacceptable. I
um
wouldn't take kindly to it if my partner told me, if I was saying something and he's like, no, don't say that. I'd be like, don't shut me up. What the fuck? I'll say whatever the fuck I want.
hello.
No, for real. And
I
and I feel like my partner should feel that way too. I have no right
uh-huh.
to tell him what to do, what to say. He's not a child, and I'm not a child. I don't have the right to shut him up. He doesn't have the right to shut me up. And that's where I feel like where the difference is between real people who really believe, in
In the
self-worth
relationship,
and
right?
self-respect, and people who just do this yap 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 on internet about confidence and
Yes,
self-respect. But in
exactly,
fact,
exactly.
I don't think, just watching that video, I don't think she has any respect for herself or the guy.
That's yeah. I That's also another thing that I also noticed, that I feel like neither of them have a respect, like mutual respect towards each other.
Yeah, there's something weird. Although, also I feel like another disclaimer that we should give this, that hindsight is 2020, right? We only saw this Q&A after we found out that he cheated on her, right? Did you?
Yeah.
Right.
What do you mean 2020?
Well, well, so they say it's a saying. They say hindsight is 2020, meaning like when you go to check up your vision, they give you 2020. That
Ah,
means
I was like, it's 2025. What do you mean? It was like yesterday.
it means,
Okay.
it's 100%. When you're looking at things in hindsight, it's like you have
No,
100% vision
obviously,
of everything. It's like,
obviously,
you know,
obviously.
of course, like, it's easy for us, right, to nitpick every little detail and be like, see,
Of
that's what,
course,
just like the comments are like, well, now,
of course,
watching
of
this
course, of course.
video, no, this was the problem. Oh, this was the problem. So it's easy for us, right, to say this, right now, kind of nitpick
100%. Yeah,
everything. Obviously, we don't
of
know
course.
anything. I personally just found out about this girl, like, like I said, a few days ago. But yeah, but still,
Like this whole
just.
thing could have been a PR stunt, like we don't
Oh,
know.
who knows?
We don't know if they're
Well,
actually married. We don't know if she's actually pregnant. We don't know if they were actually like a couple, like a real couple, not just like for PR. We don't know anything. That's just like a story that we saw online. I mean, obviously there is some I want to believe to parts of the story that I see online, but we don't, at the end of the day, we don't know what's going on. So we're just going off of the story that we do know that is online.
right. And judging by her past, you wouldn't what is it? Put it beyond her
Yeah,
to
because
do a stunt of some sort. Although I do believe the situation, though. I actually, I do believe, just for the record, I do believe that that
yeah,
she's 4 months pregnant and that he cheated on her. That I do believe. And that it seems right now that she was claiming that she's a husband. And yes, I also saw some people online saying, why does she keep calling him a husband? They never got
they're not
married.
married.
So that
Yeah.
makes it too makes sense too, because I also know of a lot of Muslim girls who just go through this who just go to this mosque with the guy, and then the imam says something, and she's like, "Wait, no, it's my husband." When it's like, are you dumb? Are you dumb? He's not your husband.
But also,
In
she
the
was
in
the
the eyes
person,
of the law, he's not your husband, and that's what husband means.
and
Legally,
that's what
he's not your
matters.
husband, right? Legally, you are not protected, especially if you're pregnant. What are you doing?
I
Well,
know, and that's
depends on
like
the
literally
jurisdiction, of course.
no, that's literally what matters. Like if you're in a if there's an emergency, you're in a hospital. They're not gonna allow him in. He's the random dude. They're
Also,
gonna
personally
only
speak,
allow family.
like just I'll just speak personally. I would never ever get pregnant with a guy who's
Yes,
not my husband legally.
yes, of course,
I would
yes,
never.
of course, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Well, I guess never say never, but I would rather not. Please,
No,
God.
but that's the I know. No, but that's the point though. She was like again so painfully aware of all the troubles that women have to like face when these kind of things happen. You know, when they have to take care of the children, the husband's like absent. She was like painfully aware of that herself, and somehow ends up in a similar. I mean, not exactly the same, but like in a similar situation where she is like
Yeah.
just like a random baby mama.
Right. Oh, by the way, let me just finish the thing. So when I said that,
Yes,
like she
yes.
kind of seemed aggressive when she was like, no, no. And then like it just got, if it was just one situation, maybe I wouldn't feel like kind of, weirded out by it. But it seemed like it just kept happening. Like, for example, when she was like, again, this is like the first 2, 3 minutes of the conversation. He was of the Q&A. He was like, he was like, I want to be like actual real in this Q&A. And again, she kind of got a little aggressive. No, what did you think I was gonna lie? I wasn't gonna lie, or something like that. She
Mm.
reacted kind of like that. Or like, are you
Yeah,
saying I'm
yeah,
gonna lie? And again, I remember
yeah.
being, why be so, like just butting heads, it seemed like a little tension there from the very 2, 3 minutes. And I'm like, I don't understand. If I was with someone again that I'm in love with, I wouldn't be acting this way. I wouldn't be like, every little thing that he says to just kind of like punch it down.
But
Oh,
also
and
like,
then and
uh-huh.
then there
Yeah,
were
yeah,
also
go.
at some point, I think it was toward the middle, he was saying something like, I imagine us like, when we're old, like being together at like 80 years old. Again, he's just saying nice things. It's just like, no, 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 no. And I'm like, God,
But
why?
again, I feel like because what he's saying, like they don't really have an honest, genuine relationships,
Right, right,
and maybe like they don't talk as much like with each other about these things. Like maybe he says
right.
something that's like irritating to her, but she's like keeping it under the rug, like whatever, whatever.
Right.
um
You're right. And then, but then when they're not, once they're in front of a camera, she's like, well, I have to control this image. So she's like, then it gets out of her. Like, no, don't say
I
that. No,
know,
no.
because like maybe he has said a lot of like annoying things that were annoying to her, and she was just like not really saying anything about it or like
Right.
being like it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. But now because we don't know the concept, maybe he was like saying it in a weird gross context before that she got annoyed, and now that he's repeating this she's like, oh,
I can see
stop
that.
it.
And it also seems like she is in general annoyed by him. Because also, did you notice that when they were talking about
Yes.
how they were living together, what the first thing she says is, I really miss
Mm,
living alone.
I know, I know. No, but also
And and she didn't even add a qualifier afterwards, but like, but I really or but no, because she was like, at first I thought she started talking about, when we first started living together, I so
exactly,
missed living alone.
exactly.
And I thought she was gonna add something like, but no, but That was it. That was like
And
full
he
stop.
had to do it. He had to do it. He was like,
And
oh, but now when
he
I
was like,
leave, you
oh
miss me
right.
so
He was
much.
like, yeah, he was like, but then I leave, you miss me, right? She's like, oh right, yes, when you leave, I really miss you.
Right?
Mhm.
Right? I know. Oh my God, that was so awkward.
What
And I
was
mean, like,
that?
I feel like it's a genuine expression of emotion. She's annoyed by him. And he's like trying to save face and be like, oh, but you miss me though, right? Like when I go out. And she's like, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, sure, sure.
Right. And again, she tries to like at some point again, she tried to make an excuse of, oh, this is just how I talk, I just don't take anything seriously. But yeah, I feel like this is
Mhm.
kind of the out that some people do where, they'll like throw a jab at you and they'll be, oh, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm just
It's
joking.
a
I'm
joke.
just kidding. Yeah, but
Mhm.
all the time, meanwhile,
Mm,
they'll just like jab, 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 jab.
it depends. Sometimes it's actually passive aggressive and like disguised as a joke, and sometimes it's just a joke. But in their situation, I feel like it was like actually passive aggressive. It was like pathological, like sick passive aggressive.
I think jokes like that most of the time are passive aggressive. And I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Most of the time, they're not kidding, is my belief. And I'm actually really annoyed by people who are so cowardly. Usually, actually, in my life, I encounter this mostly. It's like young guys that do it. Like they want to say something, but they're too afraid of the repercussions of if you just say it
Mm.
straight. So they just like kind of, veil it as a joke, and then they just say that I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So that if you get mad at, so that you're not allowed to get mad at them, because if you get mad at them, they're like, what, you can't take a joke?
Yeah, yeah, buzzkill.
I know.
Hmm.
Oh, I hate people like that. That's like one of my pet peeves. Like I get really triggered by people like, also,
But
by the
then
way,
sometimes it is actually a joke, though.
well,
No.
well, in this situation, how about that
In
body
this
odor
situation, no.
moment? When he says, and by the way, he's describing this as a moment where he got really actually upset about this. He says that again, I'm sleeping in the morning. By the way, notice a pattern. I'm sleeping, and you just
Uh
barge
huh.
into the room, and like, ew, it stinks in here.
Uh huh.
I'm like, what? Do I have body odor or something? And she's like, no, it's not your body odor. It's just the way your body smells. It stinks. He's like, what? That that's literally the definition of body odor.
I know. I know. Yeah, that also didn't make sense to me.
And he's like,
It's like
what? And she's like, it's just the you sleep with your mouth open. So what she's trying to say that his mouth
breath
stinks and it was like
stinks.
stinking the whole.
Oh
But
my
there's like, oh,
god.
I'm just joking. I'm a jokester like that. So funny, right? Isn't that funny? Would you find that funny? I wouldn't. What
Uh,
the fuck? What the fuck?
I mean, in that situation, I would think that she's trying to articulate something, but she cannot say it directly. So she's trying to say it through a joke.
So she's not actually joking when she's
Uh,
joking.
um, it's not like completely a lie. She's
Which
trying to
again,
say something, but in a jokingly manner.
which then proves the point that when she says I'm joking, she's actually not joking.
I would say it's 50-50. Again, like sometimes people just like joke and, you know, but in that
Hmm.
situation, yeah, she was definitely not joking. She was actually trying to articulate something, but couldn't really do that straightforwardly. So she just decided to choose this route of being a jokester about it. But then, like, and then hope that the message will still be delivered somehow.
Well, then again, horrible communication, horrible partner. I couldn't be with a partner like that
Exactly.
personally.
Exactly. Yes. 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 Yeah. 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 If
So
you have a
demeaning.
problem, you should say it straightforwardly. Yes. 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 I totally agree. Totally agree. Yes.
Like, why would you do that? Ew,
Yes.
stinks in here. No, it's not your body odor. It's just that your body stinks.
Yes.
God, what the hell is wrong with you?
But also, like, bodies smell now, like, especially if it's like a closed room, windows closed, and then you enter, like, after like 8 hours of sleep. It's gonna be stiff. It's not necessarily that the person
Well,
stinks.
stiff, but it might be. Well, which, by the way, I can't sleep in a room that's like, that is way too insulated like that.
I mean, me too. Me too. Me too. Yes.
I need to sleep with either an open window or like a good AC. I can't
I
sleep in a
feel like
room
I'll
like
get
that.
suffocated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't.
Yeah. Same. 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 No, but it was definitely passive aggressive. No questions. It definitely was passive aggressive.
Yeah. Maybe she just hates him. It just sounds like maybe she might just hate him. And I wonder, by the way,
And
did you know that she was born? She's like her background, she's from Chechnya, Russia.
well, yeah, like that's what people. So that's the information online, right? But it also says online that she has never actually confirmed nor denied that fact.
Well, there's a lot of weird things about her past that apparently she herself tried to clean up at some point.
Exactly. No, yeah, because people are saying like she just appeared out of nowhere, and we don't know who she was, we don't know what she
Well,
did. People are speculating that she like went to Dubai and then was an escort. Is the speculation that she was an escort?
well, the fact that she was in Dubai, that's a fact. And
Yes.
the escort is a speculation. However, okay,
Yes.
let's just do that. So after like I saw these weird things, I started Googling her and I'm like, something is
Okay.
off here, something is fishy. So I start Googling it.
Yeah.
And okay, let's start with the facts that I've seen online, right? Okay, let me see. The facts. Born in Chechnya, Russia, then raised in Belgium. And
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
said in her old videos, apparently herself, some of these old videos are deleted at this point. But apparently,
Exactly.
she said in old videos herself that she grew up poor.
Yes.
And she also said that by the age of 19, she dated a multimillionaire.
Yes. Yes. That is
Um,
what she says. Yeah.
she lived in Dubai,
Yes.
also a fact. Father tried to kill her, is what she said. The reasons, there's speculation.
I didn't know that he was abusive, but I didn't know that he tried to kill her.
Well, apparently she shared at some point that her father tried to kill her, but like the reason she
Mm.
gave was something like kind of more innocent, I guess, like she was talking to someone or something. But apparently, again, this is all, so that was fact. Now going on to the
Hmm.
rumors side, people are saying that yes, he did try to do something like that. But the reason was not that she was like, just talking to boys or something. It's just that he found out about her connections with some Dubai men
Uh,
and about things for money.
right. Like
Um,
her being an escort, you mean?
well, I don't know if it gets that far, but so this is already, so right now we're like in the rumors territory, so everything
Yes,
is,
yes,
kind of
yes.
fishy.
Yeah.
Also the surgeries, apparently like the boob job and then some other things to her face. I don't know if
She's
she's talked
saying that
about her
she didn't.
surgeries. Has she talked about her
I mean,
surgeries?
I don't know, but I saw people online complaining about it and saying that she claims that she had nothing done, but obviously
Oh,
she has. But I don't know though. Like that's what I heard online,
okay.
saw online.
So right. If she never talked about it, then again, this is just assumptions, claims kind of territory,
Right.
right?
Which, like, I mean, again, obviously she did have things done.
Right. If you just look at the before and after, it's like obviously,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But still, see, because like there is no confirmation from her, we still have to be like, this is rumors territory. And
Of course, yeah.
again, still in the rumors territory that comes from the internet. Apparently,
Hmm.
she and her sister were quite famous, or should I say infamous, back in Belgium in their city. And people are talking about how, there were a lot of weirdness going on, like with the family and the sisters, like lots of rumors about, um, I don't know how comfortable I feel discussing this, but like, just I guess intimate life with like men,
So, like, rumors about them being an escort.
kind of. Yes,
Okay.
that and also that like apparently in their even high school, I think someone from their high school said that
Oh my
there was
God.
rumors about like her sister and her like being with the same guy, same man,
Mm,
and that it wasn't just dating kind of scenario. There was, something else, some benefits involved.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what people, yeah, people do speculate and talk about it. I feel like there's, like a lot of people think that, and it's also like I can't even blame them because it's unclear.
Right. That's where we should go back to another fact that, for example, by the way, I went through her, like looked at the videos she makes, and one of the videos said how to become rich.
Right.
And I thought that was very rich of her, that joke. Because online people are like, does anyone know how she became rich? And everyone is like, no, I have no
No,
idea. Wait, no one
exactly.
knows how she supposedly became rich. So, what's your claim to fame? What's your claim to the riches? How are you? So, are you teaching people how to be rich when your claim to richness are just that you dated a multimillionaire by 19, by the way? It doesn't say at 19, it means by 19. So, who
Which
knows how
also, like,
old
what
she was.
she herself says, like, it's not
Right,
speculation. She
right. So
literally
that's
says that.
confirmed. Right, by
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
Yes.
And also, it's like nobody knows what she did before. She's saying that I worked so hard. I
At
worked so
what?
hard. Yeah, and like nobody knows what. And again, no, no. If it was that, it would have been totally fine. Like if you
I
were, if
have to
she
cut it
was
out. Should I cut this out? Oh my God, that was so rude.
like, no, like okay, if she actually said like I was dating this rich, I mean, she does kind of say that she was dating this rich man, and they were like providing
I
her
feel
with.
like she's like, isn't she setting this all up herself? She's like, I grew up
Yes,
poor. I dated a multimillionaire at 19. I'm in Dubai. My dad was so mad at me, he tried to kill me. Guess why? And it's like,
yes,
I guess
yes,
I'm
yes.
just trying to be like, I don't
No,
know.
it's like it's
It's
painfully
like she
obvious.
set it up. She's setting it up for people to be like, oh yeah, how?
Yeah,
How did you
exactly.
get rich in Dubai at 19? Tell us,
And
please.
where did you even
What's
come
your
from? Like, who
business?
are you?
What's the name of your business if you were so poor when you were little and
Yes.
now you're rich? Tell us, what's the name of your business? What's the LLC if you're trying to teach people how to be rich?
And also, like, that would have been. completely fine. That would have been so like 100% received normally. You would have been 100% fine if she was like, oh yeah, like, I dated these like rich men, and they, like they were like providing for me for like my lifestyle and everything, and that's how I am now like rich and popular. That would have been 100% fine. I feel like she would have found her own audience for that. But the fact that she's like not exactly like she's not being like 100% honest, she's saying like you can become rich by like manifesting it, you know? You have to.
By the way,
No,
I feel like that's such an, I mean, I'm not saying she's an escort, but isn't that such an escort thing? Like that's such an like an Russian escort vibe. I'm gonna be rich.
yeah,
I'm so rich. I manifested it.
I manifested it, and like I believe in myself. You have to value your worth, and that way you will attract people who will like value you for what you are, and like pay for everything apparently. And I mean, again, that's also in a way, I guess that's like an accomplishment, because it's not like every other girl who's like trying to get into escort is becoming like rich and famous. She has like millions of followers on like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. So it's not like I'm not like trying to devalue her accomplishments. She
Right.
did accomplish things.
Or say that she did something wrong, but just be honest about it.
Exactly.
Why lie? Why try to pretend like you're just like teaching
Exactly.
people like how to stop being like a lazy like a lazy loser or something. I think she has a video like that. And I'm like, well, why don't you be honest about where your
Exactly.
money
Exactly.
came from? If
And
you're if
again,
you're calling people lazy losers, like what the hell?
and it would have been like totally fine if she did actually say like, yeah, this is like I mean, she kind of does, but she kind of doesn't, when she's like, I did it this millionaire when I was 19, yada yada. She kind of does and she kind of doesn't. Like, obviously dated where like you know paying for everything, like her
Hmm.
rent, her like she had
Oh, she said
allowance.
that they were paying for her stuff.
Yes, yes, yes. And she also would be like, I mean, she does put a
Is that while
disclaimer.
she was living in Dubai?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, it does seem like she tries to like kind of avoid saying where she lives in a lot of her videos, even though it seems from the comments online, it seems obvious that she has lived for a long time in Dubai.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think, again, I also know very little about her. I know that she had this boyfriend that she herself says that they weren't like, it wasn't like a very deep, intimate relationship. And that apparently he was like paying for everything. Which is like perfectly fine. It's like, it's great. Good for you. It's great. Um, but the fact that she's being kind of like, not really honest about it, like, why would you not want to share? It's fine. The people, your audience is already very like into whatever you're saying, because she's saying like they have to pay for your they have to have an allowance for you, that's what
Oh,
she
that's what she's saying.
preaches.
Men should
Yeah,
give you
yeah,
an allowance. Oh, okay.
yeah, 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 yeah.
It just gets worse and worse the more I find out about this person. Oh,
And
it's almost
she's
like I
like,
don't know. I want to like take a shower or something.
I mean, that's another topic that I wanted to talk about, because there is this kind of like content, like red pill, blue pill content for women,
Mhm.
where
Mhm.
they're like, get the bag. Like, it doesn't matter. They're all liars. They're all cheaters, liars. They're gonna leave you, and all you can do is just like get the bag, like get the money, and provide, like, make sure that you're safe, because all of them are like cheaters and liars. They're gonna, I mean, even if they're not gonna leave you, it's still like you have to be able to be financially secure, especially if you're like taking care of the family. And I understand to a certain degree where they're coming from, because they're like advocating, I guess, for women who, for example, like would take care of the family and kids for the longest time, and then he would like leave them with nothing, right? And then like he like marry somebody else, and then he would be like, these women would be left with nothing and like three children or whatever. So it, I kind of get that. I kind of get who they're advocating for, because there are like too many stories like that. Um, but also this kind of relationship feels too transactional and too like on the like surface level, you know? It's not actually like a deep, meaningful, intimate relationship that you have with someone where you're actually partners.
Yeah.
If you're constantly thinking about him, like, oh, he's gonna cheat on me, he's gonna leave me with nothing, so I have to protect. You do have to protect yourself, obviously, but I don't want to be thinking about it like 24/7
Yeah.
and doubting my partner, who I would hope and believe is with me forever. You know?
Oh, I mean, now that you say it, it actually sounds kind of sad, right? Because it seems like people who are saying these kinds of things, they are saying it out of a place of pain and hurt.
Exactly.
Because
Yes.
they come from families where women, in this case, for example, had to,
Exactly.
do it all themselves eventually. And they probably, my guess is, probably also heard a lot of that growing up. You know how women sometimes get mad at the husband that left and just kind of
Yeah.
start verbalizing that in front of the kids of,
Yes.
your dad this, your dad that, never end up in this situation. And I just feel
Yes.
like that negativity just kind of gets, just kind of ingrained in your
Yeah.
brain, and I mean
Totally.
in your
Totally.
brain. And yes, and it's really sad if you think of it, because like we were saying this whole video, that I feel like it is a self-fulfilling prophecy in the end.
Exactly.
Because if you
Exactly.
keep saying all men are cheating assholes, all men are cheating assholes, then it just seems like people who really truly believe that, they do end up, well, they usually started in a life where people around that they around them, they saw men who were cheating assholes, and then they end up just, it's a vicious circle where
Repeating the cycle. Yeah.
it ends up, yes, in kind of the same way. God, now I feel bad. God damn it.
Which is so weird, because again, like I feel like she was aware. She was like so aware, like, oh, my mom ended up in this situation where like her husband, which is like her father, right, cheated, and then left the family, and then so like her mom had to take care of the kids and provide for the family, and she was like so painfully aware, and she was like trying to avoid it so much that she like somehow did a 360 and ended up in that same situation, you know.
Right, yeah.
That's so strange. She was aware. She wasn't like blind. She was perfectly aware of what was and if
Or maybe
anything,
it's, mhm.
yeah,
No, you go.
if anything, people might say that she was like way too, what is the word, um mercantильная, I can't find the word.
Oh, materialistic.
Materialistic, yes. Like people would say that, oh, she's like too materialistic, she's like all about the bag, right? And she's all about like defending herself and like making sure that she's all set.
that you're saying this, I kind of wonder, is it really a 360 or is it more like she just stayed in the same place? Meaning that, like, where sounds like she basically found
But
her
why?
dad. She
But
found,
why
because,
preach that though?
well, she
Like
kind of
she's
found what
saying,
she preached because she was saying men will cheat on you, make your own money. So her man cheated on her, and she's gonna support herself.
yeah. Also, she does say I'm independent. I can provide for myself. That's also like another thing that she would like stress a lot. Like
Because,
I
because
need
in
to
the
be able
best,
to provide for myself.
right, in the best case scenario, he's gonna pay child support, but even that is not guaranteed because, they're,
Yes.
first of all, not
Yes.
officially married, it seems, and second of all, they're
Yeah.
not citizens of the same country, it seems.
Yes. Yeah.
So the legality of that is going to be very difficult. And, then if it's not up to him and his goodwill, the goodwill is gone at this point as well, it seems.
Yes. Yes.
So, in a way, it's kind of she is and she has been where she's always been, right? God, I feel a little guilty for like kind of
But
psychoanalyzing
then,
someone we don't know
but then,
in
like,
this way.
can you not escape this? Then, like, is
I mean,
that what it means? Like,
you can,
even if
but I don't
even if
think,
somebody who's like so aware, so self-conscious, still cannot escape the cycle.
I don't think she was aware. I think she was just defensive and aggressive.
Uh, uh, uh,
I don't think she was actually in tune. I don't think she was actually in a reasonable, empathetic way
uh, that could
approaching
be true.
this
That could
whole
be true.
situation.
Yes,
It was just, oh, men use women, so I'm going to use men kind of a thing. It's not a
exactly,
healthy
exactly,
approach to relationships.
exactly. Like I don't want to be in these kind of relationships where I'm always trying to like
Who's
get
using who
mine.
more, kind of.
I know. And
Yeah.
also like looking at my partner like, oh, you're gonna cheat on me, you're gonna lie, you're like liar, cheater, you're
And
gonna
also, she
leave
was
me
like,
one day.
yeah, she was like, I kind of saying that too, like in that video, the Q&A video. She just went into this whole kind of a bit of a rant of women, get your thing, get your education. And I'm like thinking, wait, do you have an education? Because that's
I
another thing
don't
that
think
I
so.
saw online.
No,
They're like,
I don't think so.
she doesn't have any education. Why is she teaching people anything?
I don't think
Mhm.
she has.
So it's
Otherwise,
like,
it would have been known. It would have been known. Like she
so
would.
it's like if I were like, a child-free person and I was telling women, give birth to kids, give birth to 5 kids. What?
Yes.
This is not what?
Which again takes us back to she doesn't like fully understand what she's preaching, nor does she believe in what she's preaching.
Which makes me wonder, like all these supposed fans online that we've been seeing, are those like real fans? Are those real people? Because if they are, it kind of makes me question what is going on with people.
I no, I think they are. I think they are.
Because
I think they are
because
real.
look at this again. I looked at some of her videos today while
Mhm.
watching her Q&A video. Some of these titles are "Being a Queen is Your Birthright."
Goddess, divine goddess.
What?
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah,
How
yeah,
to
yeah.
become extremely seductive. Not just seductive, extremely seductive. What does that even mean? What does that mean?
And also, in a way, it sort of feels um like okay, the money that she's getting, right? Presumably, all the money that she has is from her like rich boyfriends. So it's not like women can get rich just like on their own with a
Right, right.
career, successful business. You have
You
to make
have to,
sure to get that money from your rich boyfriend.
yes, and you have to get a boob job and an education.
Education and how to be a divine goddess.
And then another title of her video. Why is everyone always obsessed with me? I can't help but read it in this voice. Like, how else can you read? Why everyone is always obsessed with what?
No, because okay, I will grant her that she is a very successful influencer. That is what she
These
made of herself.
these videos have millions of views, by the way. Each title that I
No,
just read. And I'm thinking,
exactly.
who is watching these videos?
Oh my god, I actually believe that a lot of people. It's not just bots. It's not just bot views. No, no, no. It's she's very popular, and that's why I will grant her that she is actually a very successful blogger, influencer, Insta model type person.
Another quote from her
But
video, this Q&A. I love to study
yeah,
these things like, astrology and numerology. You're an
um,
Aries, so you should be adventurous. I'm a Gemini. You're Aries.
uh
What?
huh, uh huh.
And her husband is like, yes, Aries like structure.
Which, by the way, that's why people are saying that he kind of like stalked her, and I mean, stalk her not like not like he's gonna kill her way, but
Oh,
more like he was doing it also looking out for his own like benefit and profit in this because um he is kind of like if you watch like when I watched the video, it kind of felt like he was kind of like adjusting to her
mm.
waves. You know, he was like, if she says something about like numerology or astrology, he will be like, yeah, it felt like a fate. It felt like destiny. You know, like I felt this feeling. I don't know how to describe it. I felt like we were destined to be together. I feel like he plays, and it feels fake though. You know, like when she says it, it kind of feels like she does believe in that. But then when he says that, it kind of feels like it's a little bit fake, and he's just doing that to kind of appeal to her and be like on her
Mm.
wavelength and be like, we are destined to be.
Yes.
That was fake because he's only doing that to appeal to her. Is what my impression was from the introduction.
And I have to say, his airport story was kind of weird, the way he was saying it. When
Yeah,
he's
that's why
like,
people are saying that he was stalking her. But like maybe he was just doing it for clout, you know, and he just didn't expect that she got pregnant, and then now he's
oh.
like trying to get out of this situation. He doesn't know how.
Meaning, just how weird was that story that he told? Don't you think it doesn't make any sense when he was like, so
It was
I,
weird.
so I was like, where was, is he American? Or like
I don't
he
know.
lives in the States or something. So as he
I
ends
don't
up
know.
in Mykonos, and he's like, so I had this trip in Mykonos, and then I met some people there that are like, let's go. No, I think I was in Ibiza, I think. And the way he says, like, I ended up in this Ibiza thing, and then we ended up, and then someone I met there was like, let's go to this place in Greece. And I was like, okay. And then I ended up being somehow in Mykonos. And then I somehow was at the airport, and these people that I was with, and he doesn't say he or she, like, these people that I was with, they tried to scam me. He first said they tried to scam, and then they actually scammed
They
$20,000.
exactly no, not try to. They actually scammed him
She
apparently.
first he first says they tried to, and then he
Exactly.
says they
Exactly.
actually scammed. So it's like, wait, so they tried or they did? And who from whom? And is it she, he? Because it seems like he's, so sometimes when people say they try to avoid saying he or she.
Yes, and also she's saying like, "Oh, I felt sorry for him because he was like scammed for $20,000."
Did she
And
say that? I don't remember.
yeah, 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 yeah. In the interview, she did say that. Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, I felt like sorry because
You mean the
he was like,
Q&A?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do remember,
Like he was just scammed for like
but
twenty
also,
thousand dollars.
didn't she say that's when she knew that airport meeting that she wanted to marry him?
Which, by the way, opens another can of worms because, like, why people are saying that this whole thing is suspicious is because he. So they're saying that they were both in a relationship, like while knowing each other.
Right, right, right. Yes, they started DMing like 3 years ago before they
Right.
met,
And then like
and then they
yeah,
were
and then
both in
like
relationships.
yes, but then what he says is that, oh, when I saw you, I just felt this like feeling that you were like something special. I had this attraction to you. Dude, you're in a well, okay, okay, not even that. Okay, she
No,
is
I think
trying to get out.
they're saying that when they met, they were single.
Well, yeah, that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to say that, like, oh, when we first met, we were single, and then we were in relationships,
No,
and then we broke up,
no, no,
and
no.
then got
What they're
together.
saying is no. What they're saying is that he DM'd so the meeting at the airport, they were both single.
Yeah.
She
Um.
literally said that. She said that in the comments. I actually went that there's a pinned comment by her, and she says that when we met at that airport for the first time, we were single, both of us. And then in the video, she says that before that meeting at the airport, 3 years before that, he DM'd her and they were talking. And she
I
would send him voice messages, and he would feel very excited about that.
no, but also like he will say like the first time I saw you like
Yeah.
online, you know.
Oh, no, not online. He says that at the airport. He says that 36 hours after we met at the airport, I decided I wanted to marry you. That I fell in love with you and wanted to marry you.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, but before that, he was like he actually, judging by their conversation, he did say like, um, as long as there are like people like Lizard Wes out there, I, like I can, like there are like I can date people. It's not like hopeless for me.
That I don't remember. What I do remember is that they actually kind of conveniently skipped. That's what I remember. That they were, oh, maybe actually they cut it out at some point. Because on YouTube, there's that option there on YouTube to, after you publish the video, you can go back and cut things out. Because I just
Yeah,
watched it because you sent this to me right before, like, a couple hours ago. So I just literally just watched it today for the first time. And I
yeah.
distinctly remember that they were saying, and that was really weird because they were saying, so that he DM'd the very beginning of the story, that he DM'd her
Hmm.
on Instagram and they were talking. And
Yeah.
that, like at some point she started sending him voice messages. And he's like, and I felt like so much trepidation or something like
I
that
know.
about that. I felt like, oh my God. And then boom, they schemed to, and then 3 years later, we met at the airport. Wait, what? And we were both single. And I'm like, wait, how come we just skip 3 years? What happened during those 3 years? What happened? Did one of you like just, what's the word? ghost one of the other? What happened? Like, I'm confused. Can you? So they just like were like, we started scamming 3 years ago, and then boom, 3 years later we met and we were both single after a relationship. And I
No, it
found it
doesn't make
really
sense.
weird. I found it really weird. And then also another weirdness that in the comment section, she felt the need to, justify herself and him and pin the comment of being, guys, just to be
Hmm.
clear, when we met at the airport, we were both single.
I no
It
no
was
because
weird.
no because like when he says that from the moment they started talking, like from the moment he saw her online, not in real life, like from the moment he saw her online, he was like just mesmerized by this personality. And every time he would send a message, he was like feeling some sort of way.
Yeah, yeah, that I remember. Mhm.
So, like, okay, like, even if we assume that you were single and then you got into like relationship with someone, and then while you're in a relationship with someone, you're still like, you tremble when
That
somebody
they
sends you a
didn't say.
message.
That they didn't say. They didn't say that they kept talk. Oh, I think actually in the comments, that's what she clarified as well, that while we were in our relationships, we didn't talk. That's literally what she said in the comment.
I
I'm
don't
gonna find
know.
it. I mean, whether we believe it or not is another question, but that's what she says.
I mean, he says London was absolutely single when he met me. Like whatever
Right.
that means, because they're first saying that they met online and then they met in airport at the airport like a few years later. It's not clear when exactly they actually met because
Well,
also he did
so
say that
should I read you the comment?
yeah.
So she wrote a comment below that Q&A video, and she pinned it, and it says, "Hi guys, I want to clear up that London said at 4:28, quote, every time you send me a message, I just adore you," end quote, was a statement about when we were messaging before we got into relationships with other people. We did not stay in contact with each other during our relationships. When we met years later at the airport and went to Santorini, we were both single. Heart emoji.
I don't know.
I know it sounds like an excuse. It sounds like
Um,
it does sound. I also remember feeling weird while I was watching the video, like because at first, like, so you know, when we met, they're like, let's tell everyone how we started talking. You came into my DMs, right? And then they're describing excitedly every little moment of every time you sent me a message. I was so excited. I was like, oh my, she's like, oh my God, I thought he was so cute. And he's like, oh my God, I thought she was it. She was amazing. And then they're like, 3 years later, we meet at an airport. I'm like, what happened during those 3 years? Why did you conveniently skip the 3 years?
exactly. No, but also he's like saying that from the moment, like I first like heard your voice, saw you online, started texting with you. When you sent me a voice message, I was like completely mesmerized. How can you be completely mesmerized and then like go into another relationship? It doesn't make sense to me.
I assumed that what was happened was that they were DMing, and then at some point she just stopped replying to him, like basically ghosted him. And then 3 years
Uh
later, she was single, he was single, and they met at that airport, maybe.
huh. I mean, people are saying that he was actually in a relationship when he started texting, just like he is now, like in a
Right,
relationship
right, right.
texting
Could be.
other
Again, could be,
girls.
yeah.
Because that would make sense. Because otherwise, if you are about to start a serious relationship, if you're about, like, if you're not, because, okay, if you're completely single, why not date her? If you're like so mesmerized, if you feel
Well,
like
maybe
this is the
Well, maybe she was just like kind of flirting with some guy online, and then she found a new sugar daddy and just ghosted him.
I guess. But he would always have them, no? I feel like she would always have like sugar daddies in the background, is my assumption.
Well, it sounds like with this guy, she tried to actually live with him. So I can see like if you're actually living with the guy, you wouldn't be flirting with some other guys on the side. Like why?
But then she was like, oh, I thought he was so cute,
Well,
Like,
that's what she's saying now. She's saying now that he's her husband.
I know. The whole thing is so
It's
shady.
weird. Yes, it's really weird. Both of them are so everything they say just doesn't add up. It's yeah, everything they say is weird.
I mean, I think it's because they're both liars.
Which, by the way, don't they say how you meet him is how you lose him? So if your theory is correct, that something shady was going on during those 3 years, and that when they met, or when they, were first DMing each other.
And that, I mean, that's what also like people are saying, but it all
Oh,
would have
really?
been
So
like all
people
fine.
are people saying that, that's how they met, and now that's
Yes,
how they're breaking up. Oh, really? I haven't seen
yes.
that.
Yeah, yeah. In the comments, they're saying like, "Oh, he was texting you while being in a relationship,
Oh,
and now he's texting somebody else while being in a relationship with you."
oh, maybe they know something about the previous girl.
No, because like these people keep deleting posts, they keep deleting
Yeah,
videos, they like they're like this shady as fuck. And
right.
then also another thing that I want to point out is that um she okay well during the relationship actually she did seem kind of like in love. It did seem like kind of lovey dovey.
Mm. Well, yeah,
And um
that's
and
reasonable. We're
people are
not saying their relationship is fake or that their feelings are fake, could all be
I
real.
I am
Like,
kind of saying though.
men develop feelings for their mistresses. That's like mistresses develop feelings for for married men who, pay for their shit. It happens in real life all the time. So, you know,
Yeah, but
it
overall,
wouldn't
I
be
feel like their
far-fetched.
relationship wasn't like deep like that, you know?
Right, and honestly, I believe I'm not saying this about these people in particular, but I feel like there are a lot of people in life who don't seem, I don't know, it seems like it's hard for them to be able to see their partner as just like, not as a source of what they want.
Exactly.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? This kind of,
Yes.
I feel like a lot of
You're
people actually approach relationship in a way of what can I get from him or what can I get from her?
transactional. It's
What
very
benefit can I?
transactional.
And I feel like for many people, I observe this, and I feel like for many people, it's very hard to get out of that mentality. Out of this, I guess selfishness is kind of ingrained, which is natural and feeling, and it's not a bad thing. Being
Right.
selfish, it's not in and of itself a bad quality, but I feel like it's just in some people, it's so predominant in them that it makes it hard for them to see someone as just, as a human being beyond what they can offer to you specifically.
As a fellow human trying to
Right.
navigate life,
Right. With
trying
their
to find a
own
partner.
wants, needs, yes,
Yes.
complications. And I feel like that's maybe also part of why she feels like, "Ugh, I feel it's so hard to live with you. Ew, you stink. Ew, I need to wake you up." Because for her, it's like maybe just she's just not used to. So where were we?
What were you talking about? Yeah. Um
I feel like we were like psychoanalyzing a little too much.
no, I mean it is true though. Like I feel like at the end of the day, they're both like liars and they're both trying to scam each other.
Because about this, the both being kind of giving off that, fishy, scammy energy. How weird was that when he started talking about God and being like, and saying these like, cringy things like, God doesn't give you what you want. God gives you what you need. And I'm like, really, dude? You're gonna try to be that deep right now? Oh God. And like you think that's deep? What is like he did you not notice he kept trying talking about God? How like, God this, God that. Oh,
Well, that's why people are saying that he kind of, um, they're saying that he stalked her and also like playing into her character because he's really
mm,
into this like manifesting kind of things. So that's
right,
why he was like playing, like he was pressing on her buttons in that sense, going like it was a fate, it was destiny. We were,
right.
like we were destined to be together. He kept saying that, and it was very pretentious and insincere, you know.
Yeah. And it seemed
And he
like
was
both
also,
of them, well, you go.
and he was also like about the meeting. He kept saying how it was like destiny, how it was fate, and how we were meant to be together. And then about the like when he saw her, like I don't know how to describe it. It was just like an overwhelming feeling that I
Yeah.
had, and it all felt like he was, because she's into these kind of things.
Mm.
She's into
It's a
that.
sign from up
Yeah,
above.
it's a sign. Exactly, exactly. You're being led by the divine. And it felt like he was kind of playing into like her interests, I guess.
Right, right.
But this whole
And
thing feels like scam, like a scammer trying to scam another scammer.
right, right, right. Exactly. That's exactly how I felt. Like a
Like both of
scammer
them are
trying
trying
to
to out
scam another
scam each
scammer.
other.
Right.
Yes,
And
yes,
outplay and outfake each other.
exactly.
That point where like she was trying to scam, oh, you're so I thought you were so handsome. I thought you were so the moment I saw you, I thought you were so handsome. And then she's like, and then when this woman told me that you're so handsome, I was like, what?
I know,
And she's
I
like,
know, I know.
and he's like, you came to me and were like, you wouldn't believe what I just heard this woman said.
You're good looking. Who knew? And she was like, also, she was like trying to get out of the situation.
Right.
Like, oh,
She tried to play it off
looks
and be like,
don't matter to me.
oh, she also said, well, usually I think my boyfriends are handsome, but usually other people don't think they're handsome. So when this woman thought you're handsome, I thought, oh my God, you must really be handsome.
I know. I know.
What? Who?
And
That
I
was
mean, also,
so weird. And
it
also, by
was
the way,
weird.
sounded very fake and contrived. Like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to do here? It seemed like she was trying to kind of, again, speak out of both sides of her mouth, where she was kind of like to the audience to be like, no, I actually do think my boyfriend is handsome. And then to him in person, be like, can you believe it? This random woman thinks you're handsome. Can you
I know.
believe it?
But
You
actually,
know?
not only to him, but also to her audience as well. When she's like, oh, she thought he was handsome. My God. She's not only doing it for him only, she's also doing it to her audience, which is like, and then also like being like, oh, I don't care because like, I don't really think like, it doesn't really matter if the man is handsome or not.
And also, her audience obviously doesn't think he's handsome because I think that's like the most popular, one of the most, or if not the most popular comment there that says on the YouTube Q&A that when you give an ugly guy a chance, he starts thinking that he's all that.
Yeah,
Or
that
like
is
something
true,
like
but
this is why you shouldn't give an ugly guy a chance. Obviously,
yes.
neither her nor her audience. think that of him, and
But also, he's not like ugly. He is still
right, right,
like
right.
he's still like kind of good looking. He's not
He's not bad looking. He's
um
not bad looking.
he's not bad looking. He's like, he's kind of cute. I would
I
think that
mean, some people could find him cute, like his mother. Just kidding, just kidding.
oh,
No, but really
oh
though. Although,
no,
but
objectively.
he's not like, he would be walking down the hall of the airport and I'm looking at him. Oh my God, look at this Brad Pitt. He's not that type, is all I'm saying.
I mean, he's not like extremely
Like,
attractive, that is true, but
I
he's
wouldn't,
also not like ugly.
well, I also wouldn't like see him at an airport, like she says, and think, oh my God, this is it. He's so handsome. I want to marry this guy.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
he's
a
not
bit of
that
a
type
stretch.
either. Like, how
Yes.
big of a stretch is that? It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you see, that's
it's
because
like a really
she doesn't.
squeaky stretch.
But you see, she doesn't. That's because she doesn't really care. As long as the guy is paying, it doesn't matter.
Right. Or like as long as people are buying it, she's just I guess used to just yap and yap and yap out of her. I don't know what it is, but some of these things that she says, I'm like,
It doesn't.
what?
No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. No, I
Right.
I would say that he doesn't. Like, he's not ugly. He is young, reasonably attractive, reasonably like pleasant looking person. We cannot say that he's like, oh, ugly,
No,
disgusting,
no, no, no. And obviously tastes differ, right? We all have different tastes.
But even with those different tastes, I feel like he is still on average, like average looking person. He's not like
No,
ugly and disgusting.
not someone that you would kind of lock into in a crowd in an airport and be like, I
Mm.
want to marry him.
But I guess that's also true in a sense that I have never really felt that way. Like
Well,
looking at
right.
a
But see, that's what she's trying to portray. She's like, when I saw you at that airport, I knew I wanted to marry you. What?
right, right. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. Like that doesn't really make sense from a female perspective. It might make sense from a male
Yeah,
perspective.
it doesn't make sense in
Male.
like 100 different ways. It doesn't make
Right, right,
sense.
right. No, but maybe she was talking about the vibes.
And she's like, during that trip, we fell in love. And then she's like, during that trip, you were really weird. You just sat there playing chess on your phone while we were out. Oh, really? That's what you fell in love with?
I know.
Oh,
Like
come on
person
now.
being
Oh, come on,
absent.
come on, come on. How dumb do you think I
Yeah,
am? How dumb do I have to be right now to believe
yeah,
all of
yeah.
these things that you're saying, none of which make sense or add up?
Or like literally contradict each other.
Right. Which is why I feel like in the beginning of this video, I was like, guys, if any of you are like fans of her, you probably better not watch it because this is just honestly, I'm like watching, especially just look at her. Like when I just today after that video Q&A, I clicked on her YouTube channel and just looked through the videos, the titles and the
Yeah,
thumbnails.
yeah.
And, I described before the kind of videos that I saw there, like how to be rich. When are you even rich yourself? And how did you get rich? No one knows. And then, like, how to be extremely seductive, how to stop being a lazy loser or something like that. Who is watching these videos?
A
I
lot of
feel
people.
bad really. And
A,
it looks like millions
a
of
lot of
people. And I'm
people.
thinking,
Yes.
who are these millions of people? I don't
A
know, I'm questioning. I don't know. I shouldn't
lot
be
of
too
people
rude, but
judge. Yeah.
it's weird. It's so weird.
Um. I mean, I do think that there's like value in like some of the content that she puts out there.
Like what, for
Um,
example? Give me an example because I honestly can't see.
like when she's like, like if you're like being abused and like disrespected, you should like walk out. You don't
Mm.
understand your value. You're like so much like, you know you should appreciate yourself. You should, and also like you should know your worth. You should know your value. If someone's like disrespecting and abusing you, you should walk out. That's one thing. And then another thing is like, she is about like, you
But
should like
aren't those like
upgrade.
obvious things? It's like if I say that like lying is wrong,
It's not. No,
I
it's
make
not as
videos while I'm lying myself, by the way, and living a
I,
life of a lie. Like, what? Isn't that weird?
it is weird. No,
But
but it is
isn't she
as
saying like
weird.
obvious things? It's like if I say like if I go on like on YouTube channel like murder is wrong. It's wrong.
No, no, no.
And
It's
people
not.
are
It's
like,
not as
well,
obvious.
there's value to her videos. She's saying it's wrong. No.
No, 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 no. It's not as obvious. It's not as obvious. Also, especially depending on a situation. Like, for example, you might be in a situation when you're actually questioning your value, your self worth, and then these kind of videos, I think help people.
Well, if the rumors about her are true, then she actually herself is putting herself in situations where her value is demeaned. She is trading her youth at 19 years old, dating older men from Dubai just because they're a multimillionaire. That is, I
But
I feel like that is abuse. That is
it is.
abuse.
It is 100%. Yes, yes, definitely.
So,
But
like,
I guess
don't we by
in
this point? I feel like we all know what happens to these young girls in Dubai, right? We've seen
but
this
I
news of this Ukrainian girl and what happened to her
yes,
during one of those parties where she fell out of a window and, with multiple broken bones. Is she even
yeah,
talking? I feel like is she alive even right now? Like, we all
yeah. I
know
don't
what
know.
it's about when you're partying in Dubai as a young girl, and then she's preaching that, oh, girls, don't let yourself be abused.
No, but I mean, she's not. I feel like she's not necessarily preaching that type of lifestyle. She's just encouraging women to not be like in these like either paying for her man or
No,
like being in
I'm
a
not saying
50-50.
that she's promoting that kind of a lifestyle. In fact, I'm kind of saying the opposite. When you're living that kind of a lifestyle, but hiding that you are, living this questionable life, and then and then after you go through all this weird stuff, where again, your own admission, your dad tries to kill you because of weird stuff
Yeah,
and then you're doing weird things in Dubai and then dating multimillionaires at like barely legal age and then you turn
yeah.
on a camera like girls don't let yourself be abused but you know what actually another video of her said don't date a broke man. It's like she's basically promoting this lifestyle when don't date a broke man. You're young, you're beautiful, go find yourself a rich guy. Meanwhile, the whole time living this questionable lifestyle, like, don't let yourself be abused. Well, you do you think you're helping? You're not helping. You are the problem. People like you are the problem.
But then there's like another extreme where women are like, for example, left with nothing, paying for their man, and then saying like, for example, like okay, there's like one extreme where like the people like lizard with or sorry, wizardless, wizardless, and no, because there's a character I don't know, there's a character called Lizard Wiz, yeah. So she just like changed the letters.
Oh, that's why I probably was today when you sent me that video and I was trying to find that on YouTube. I was like, little lizard something.
Lizard with no, there's a character. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like her, and also I think she's called Shira 7 something.
Huh?
She's also Shira 7. I don't know her like name. Like some lady. She's also like doing this. Like she's kind of doing the same thing, but also like more hardcore, more like
Oh,
get the bag kind of like
oh.
um get him like to pay you,
I
give you
mean,
money, la
to
la.
each their own. To each their own. I feel
Exactly,
like
exactly.
everyone, I don't give a shit. Escorts. Actually, if someone loves being an escort, I have nothing against that. Do whatever you
Of
want.
course,
If
of
it
course,
makes you
exactly,
happy,
exactly,
if it makes you happy, if it gives you a sense of stability, sure, sure, I don't care. What
exactly,
I get like triggered by is lies and hypocrisy. When
exactly,
people
exactly. That's
pretend
the problem. That's
like
the
they got
problem. Yeah.
rich through being, through doing some businesses, but they can't show the businesses. And they're like, be smart, don't be lazy, get rich. And meanwhile, they're being an escort. I'm like, well, just say
Easy.
that. Just say that.
Yes. Yeah. 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 A
Then I
hundred.
don't
Yes.
have a problem. Which, by the way, I I sent you recently this like Bonnie Blue girl. Like people like to hate on her because she does adult movies, and she did
Mm,
was one of those. And yes, I agree. It does sound kind of ill, but
yeah.
however, I have nothing against her. I actually think I didn't watch any of those movies of hers, but I did watch her on Bad Friends. And I thought I like her. I like her. She seems like she's actually one of those people who like she just what I said right now. Like if you're like someone like I don't think she's an escort, but what I said was
Well,
about
sex
escorts that
worker.
if you
I think
say
it's just like a
you're an
sex worker
escort
in some
and
way.
if you like it, if you
Yeah.
enjoy it,
Yeah. Of
sure,
course.
I
Of
don't
course.
care. And but
Yes.
she's honest
Yes.
about it. She's not like it's not like she earns her money doing sex work, and then comes on YouTube saying about trying to be a life coach and be like, don't be
Yes.
lazy. Don't be a
Yes.
loser. Don't date poor guys. Don't date broke guys. You know what you should do? You should get an education and work. Work, girls. It's like how Kim K was like, no one wants to work. You should go work. Why don't people want to work? Again,
Yeah.
dude, you're famous off of a sex tape. What are you talking about? It's just, I don't
Yes.
know why it's enraging. It's enraging. Meanwhile, when
Um.
someone like Bonnie Blue, I feel like is way more honest and has way more integrity than any of these women, when she comes on Bad Friends and honest, is like, yes, this is what I do. She can joke about it. She can be funny about it. She can be witty about it. And I don't know. I like her. I like people like that. I have nothing against sex workers. In fact, sex workers like that, I think, are amazing. You love it. You're doing great. You're doing amazing. And you're honest about you go, girl. You go, girl. She's not trying to lie. She's not trying to scam. She's being very honest. She's not trying to be
And
hypocrite.
also
I think it's great. It's
important
great.
important thing is that she's not trying to play a victim. Like I was trafficked, I was forced, I was abused, and that's why she's not. Even if she was, that's another
Well,
question.
if she was,
It
sure, she
doesn't
should talk
really.
about it. If she wants to talk about it, sure, sure. I don't care. It's just for me, it's about honesty. Are you honest? Are you being honest right now? It just seems like this lizard woman, she's not. She has a
I would.
lot to hide. And she just keeps pretending like like she's a life coach, like she can teach you how to be
Yeah.
a real woman. But what she's teaching you is how to be a miserable woman. That is just all about give and take materialistic things of
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You
I
have to
give you
pay.
this and you give me that. That's it.
And also, like, if you're not doing that, then like I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna date this person. It's a bit much. It's a bit much, and it feels a little like crude. Like it's like crude and vulgar and kind of like too much when she's like, oh, if he's not like able to do these things for me, then I'm like, obviously, then I'm gonna leave him and then move on to somebody else. It's a bit much. If you're looking like at a relationship as somebody who is like your partner, your friend, your soulmate, and you're like together, I don't know. I don't know. It's not. It's good. Well, you know what? Actually, when you say that, it sounds like crude and vulgar and transactional and weird. However, for example, um, I can say that like if the man that I'm going on a date with um won't pay for a first date, there's not going to be a second date. I know
Oh,
that. Yeah, I know that, but to say that out loud, to say that like feels very like crude and vulgar and wrong for some reason, even though
I
it
don't
is
know.
true for
I don't think
me.
it is.
Like
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I
It's
feel like it is
because
for me.
no, it's just meaning that I don't think it's vulgar or anything because someone wants a more traditional relationship and someone doesn't. For example, a lot of
Mhm.
men actually, like I have offered, like on a first or any other date, I have offered to pay many times in my life, but men just wouldn't let me because they really don't want, and I keep insisting and they keep, insisting that I don't.
No,
So I
I have
just feel
offered
like
too. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just feel like it's not, so because I feel like when you just said that, it just sounded kind of like, just a female being like, I don't know, materialistic or something, or like demanding or something. I don't
I
think that's what it is.
know.
I think it's just that some people, both men and women, prefer a more traditional type of relationship, which nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Some people want a more traditional relationship, and some people want something else, like a more 50-50 type of relationship. And I think both of them have merit on their own. Both of them are fine. It just people just have to
Yeah.
find, their own ilk.
Exactly. No,
And
exactly. Of
I
course, of
think
course.
there's plenty men and women wanting to go
Of
either
course.
way. You just
Yes,
have to
yes,
find your own
yes.
person. I don't think there's anything vulgar or weird about being either of those ways.
Well, but I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I know that there are like, again, not just men, like women, obviously. There are like plenty of women who want to do 50-50, who want to pay for themselves on dates, who don't want men to like gift them things, like or take care of them financially or like pay for dates, right? That's fine. I don't have anything against or for that. I don't really care. Um they want that, great. That's just not my style. But then I for some reason when I say that, it feels kind of like crude and materialistic and vulgar. I don't know. If I say like, oh, if he's like not paying for the first date, then there's not gonna be a second date. It kind of feels gross for some reason. Even
I don't
though
think
it is
you
true.
say that. I don't think you say it. It sounds like when you just said that, even the way that you just like kind of, the you were kind of like reenacting someone like I maybe Liz. Is that who you were hearing that from?
Listen.
Because I don't think I hear that from you usually. You're just like, I don't think you think that way, but I think it sounds like it's just like when you hear it from these kind of girls and when they put it that way, it sounds a little weird. Probably because I think it's not the positions that are weird. I think there's reasonable people on both sides of the
Mhm.
preference, whether it's 50-50 or more traditional.
Yes.
I think it's
Yes.
just aggressive people on both sides that make both of them sound weird. Like, for example,
Mm.
women who are like, ew, guy who doesn't pay for a date. What are are you good for anything? You must not be good for anything, or things like that.
No, it
Or
sounds
even,
so cruel.
yeah, it's disgusting. Or people on the other side, the 50-50 side, where like men are like, I don't owe you anything. I don't owe women anything. Pay for your own shit.
I
Why do I
know.
owe anyone any? Did you not want equal rights? I thought you wanted equal rights. Like, here, this is equal rights for you, feminists. So I just feel like there's bitter people on both sides, and that's the problem. And it seems to me like this Liz woman is one of those bitter people who
Oh,
not
oh, for sure, for
like
sure, for sure.
she is not approaching this from a perspective of I'm just one of those girls who just, wants a traditional relationship and I would like to find a traditional guy, be happy in my marriage. She seems to be more kind coming out of her pain,
Resentment.
right, resentments and kind of which translates then into aggression towards men. And then she teaches
Yes,
that to girls, like, girls, he doesn't pay for a date, fuck him. Or just
I
things
know.
like that. And it's just, yeah, it's so unnecessary, I feel like.
It is, and also often this kind of content, even though I do think that there's value in this kind of content, it often feels like you are being so like disrespectful towards the the men, right? Towards the other human being that's like um
That's
trying
the
to date
first
you.
step. You're being disrespectful to men, but then also I feel like girls also themselves are disrespecting themselves by being that, as you said, yes, I agree, crude. And just and
Yeah.
in my opinion, aggressive, hateful, treating people like they're just like a tool for you to use to get from point A to point B instead of just like a human being to
Yeah.
be friends with, to fall in love with, to value, just like, you know, just for
And
who they are.
it's also fine to say like, okay, this person is not for me, right? Because I don't like these type of
Right.
like this type of dynamic, this type of relationship. But
Exactly.
then
Yes.
I, while they do put that disclaimer, I feel like often they still, it just the vibe of them like being like disrespectful
Yeah, they're
towards
hateful.
another human being, resentful, yeah, hateful towards another
Yeah.
human being that's just like trying to navigate this life just like you are. Just
Right. Yeah.
because you don't match each other's expectations or preferences,
Right.
I don't know.
It's kind of actually kind of it reminded me like when sometimes like a guy tries to hit on me, but like he's just completely not in my type, not my taste.
Right.
Um, I don't like, and I'm not gonna like ridicule him, be like, oh, you think you can, oh, you think I'm gonna be with, no, of course not. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be polite. I'm gonna say thanks for the compliment. I really appreciate that. That's so nice of you, but unfortunately, I can't give you my number, and I'm just gonna go in my way thinking, you know, for someone, he's gonna be a good match, just not for me. I'm not gonna be like,
Yes. Yes.
you idiot. You thought I was gonna
I
date
know.
you?
You
Why'd you come
loser.
to me?
Oh my
Of
god.
course not.
And also people that do that feel kind of like insane, honestly, like
And
when
that's
they
how women like that online come across. And men, by both men and women,
and
who would just
men, yeah,
go
yeah,
online
yeah.
and start just bashing a guy or a girl who's just, lives a life that they are not okay with, or lives a life that they wouldn't want to date that girl or a guy. And they're like, oh, idiot.
I
You think they can
know.
get someone? You idiot loser.
I know. No, both genders do that. And
Yes,
it's
and I think every time it speaks more of the person who's saying those nasty things than the
yes.
other party.
Yes.
And so
No, because like
when
okay,
women like Liz say, "You don't date these broke losers," I'm like, "Ew, what are you trying to do here? Why?" And especially when it like she's also young when she's saying this. She's like in her 20s. Like
20s,
who
yeah,
who is a self freaking multimillionaire in their 20s? First,
yeah.
nobody, nobody. Maybe like
Yes.
0.1%, and usually those the ones that get too rich too fast, like the child stars, they're like broke drug addicts by 30, 40 years old. So what are you trying to say? In fact, this message I think is horrible. It's poison. If a lot of young women are following that and listening to her and like, yes, you go, girl, you're right. Don't date losers. And they're like 19, 20 years old. So who are they dating? Like 50-year-old multimillionaire married
I
Arab
know,
guys
I
in Dubai
know,
who
I
are like,
know, I know.
abusing the shit out of you at porta parties? What?
I
What?
mean, okay, to play the devil's advocate, they're
Right,
saying
sure.
that he's gonna like be, you know, I mean, then the
That yeah,
kind of
he's
the
gonna
gist
leave
of it.
you for a younger one when you guys help him
Anyways,
get rich. He's
anyways,
gonna leave you for a younger one. Well, maybe he will,
or
maybe
like,
he not. It's like saying, oh, someone's gonna die. Well, maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's like Jeff Bezos, for example. Someone
or
who
like,
told
well, they're saying that
Mackenzie,
he might like cheat on you or like leave you regard or like abuse you or be controlling. For example, there was a moment when she was like, okay, like you're saying that rich people who are like paying for my lifestyle are like controlling, but like broke guys are as controlling as those like rich guys that I've dated. They're also
well,
going to be as insecure and controlling.
not everyone is insecure and controlling, first of all. If you're only dating men that are insecure and controlling, again, that says more about
Exactly.
you than the
Exactly.
man.
Exactly. Yes. 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 That's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. You keep saying that they're all abusers and cheaters, and then you keep meeting those people who are like keep abusing and cheating on you. The fuck?
But I actually think it's a great idea that you're playing the devil's advocate because, I feel like as I was gonna say I don't want this to turn into like the hate Liz train, but it seems like it already has a long time ago.
No, no. I mean, it has because overwhelmingly online people are like supporting her and saying that like she's this victim and
And I
what
don't
is his name,
understand
London?
why she has the worst message out there. Like as a young girl.
That's where I would like disagree and say that there's value to her message.
Okay, in what way?
You know, like because there are women who will like say, I'm like laughing. Can you get through the sentence? Well, no, because there are women who will, um, and like who like end up like with three children, not having anything. The husband has left them. They
Well,
don't have
listen.
anything going for them, and they feel miserable. They feel like a loser. They feel really bad about themselves. And that's when somebody like Liz would come in and say, like, no, know your self worth, like, pick yourself up and, like, know your value, and
Okay.
appreciate yourself
Okay,
because you're a divine goddess.
let's establish this fact first and foremost. You should take care of yourself. First
Yeah,
and foremost,
yeah.
you are the most important person you have. Not because some guy out there is an asshole, cheater, or someone is going to be an asshole to you or cheat on you. No. Just because
Mm-mm.
you are the most important thing to your, it's you don't have to be a divine goddess to be that way. Men put themselves first. Children put themselves first. Women, healthy women, put
Everyone,
themselves first. Everyone should and does put themselves first. That's how we are born. That's why
of
when we
course.
are born, we're born crying on top of our lungs because we are born demanding attention
Mm-mm.
of feed me. I'm cold. Put me in a warm place. Give me a titty right now.
I
We're
know.
born screaming for a titty right now, right here on top of our lungs. That's
Yeah.
in our nature. Like, you don't have to teach people that. Well, I guess, some people who are abusers stuff, you know, but anyways, that's our born right. Yes, we should always put ourselves first. We should always make sure
Yes.
we can take care of ourselves, not because men are assholes. I feel like that's the point. That's the point where that I have a problem with. Because she says you have to take care of yourself because men are assholes, because he will cheat. No,
Yeah,
let's
I agree.
put it
I
in
agree.
different
Yeah, yeah.
dimension. You take care of yourself, you love yourself, you
Regardless.
feed yourself, you have a career because you are an individual, a person in and of yourself, regardless of what kind of a husband, boyfriend, partner you have. Even if your husband is the saint, is super rich, he's a billionaire, he's a saint, he loves you,
Mm.
he adores you, he
Mm.
carries you in his arms, an angel, it doesn't matter. You still should, like, I don't know, to me it comes naturally. I would still want to do stuff of my own. I still want to go have a career of my own, go take care of myself, have a bank account of my own, a credit card of my own, not because he's a bad person or he doesn't do these things for me, because I am interested in different things. I want to have a career. It's fun to me. That's why you should have hobbies, friends, interests, a job, well, or be self-employed, business, whatever, arts project, whatever it is. Not
She
because
kind of
some man out there is an asshole and is gonna cheat on you. What is that
I
about?
totally yes. No, that's about resentment. Obviously, that's about resentment and hatred towards like the opposite sex. I totally agree. But then on one of her videos, she did say like I think it was like why like my about my breakup or like why did I break up? She did say that she was like too comfortable in this like previous relationship,
Mm,
not with London, wherever
mhm,
he was in previous relationship. He was like comfortable because they were living together. He was paying for
mhm,
everything, and she wasn't like growing or like
mhm,
like um she wasn't doing much.
mm,
And also, but she's saying that he wasn't doing much either. But then somebody has to pay fucking rent. What do you mean? Like somebody
mm.
has to work. If you're at home doing nothing,
Well, if it was in Dubai, probably just someone's rich kid or someone's rich
I
husband.
guess, I guess, my God. And so she was like, that's why well, that's her, obviously, that's her POV, right? That's her perspective. She was like saying, that's why we broke up because it felt too stagnant. It felt too still that none of us are like,
No.
I'm not evolving, I'm not like improving in anything. We're just like sitting at home. And also because she claims to be like so introverted,
A,
like
a better message would be, to take care of yourself, not because men are horrible and weak and are going to cheat on you, but because just because of your own value. Not because men are bad. See, that doesn't, I feel like that doesn't have to be precondition. Men don't have to be
Yes.
bad for you to take care of yourself, because I also think there's an assumption in that kind of an argument that if there was a guy who didn't cheat and took care of you, then you could just, just relax and, kick back and not do anything. I just don't think that's how real life works. I think you should do things not because of some guy, because he's bad or good, for yourself, because you're a human being that has value in and of itself, not because of
Yeah,
some
but like
other outward reason.
I feel like some people don't really, well, no, like not like some people don't at all, but like in certain situations, you do need that encouragement of people saying like, know your worth, know your value, you know?
Sure, but know your worth and value because what? And she's saying because men are horrible, men are assholes. And I think
And they're
that's
gonna abuse you.
and I think that's where it's the self-fulfilling prophecy that will end up in a bad
Yes.
place. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being too idealistic, maybe I'm wrong. Um,
I mean, I feel like there are like abusive men just like there are abusive women.
right. Well, also we have to admit statistically, um, I think when women get murdered, most of the time it's their partner. Although maybe even with
Yes.
men, I don't remember. Why did you put your glasses on?
My eyes, I mean, they're like too, like, ah,
I mean, if you need it, sure, do it. I was just
yeah.
wondering.
Yeah, I feel a little more comfortable with glasses on now.
Mm. Okay, sure, sure, sure. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
Meaning like physically
I
or
don't
like
know.
the way you.
I don't know. No, because I feel like my eyes are like straining to look at
Mm,
you.
mm.
But it didn't happen before this. I wonder why.
Well, maybe it did, but it's just because you weren't as conscious of the way you look. You didn't have to track
Right.
it because you didn't feel
Right.
like self-conscious, like, someone's recording you right now and you just didn't pay attention
But
to it. But now you are.
yeah, but that's why I also like I shouldn't, you know, because before it was fine, so it should be fine right now also.
Also, you know what? I feel like I wonder if we genetically have sensitive eyes because, like, right now I'm not wearing glasses, but when I am filming myself and the camera is just recording me in a way more
Mhm.
high def kind of way, I do record in glasses, kind of like yours right now, because I also notice that my eyes get a little like they start straining, like when there's light. And because when you're filming that you have to have light on you, and my
Ah,
eyes get strained and I need to wear glasses because then they get red, and I feel like we just both genetically have like sensitive dry eyes or
mhm,
something
mhm.
that get dry
That
and red
would
for no reason.
that would totally make sense because usually I'm facing the other direction.
Oh,
I'm
right.
not facing the window. I think that's why. I was like, why are they
Yes.
all of a sudden so dry in my eyes? It's because I'm facing the window. I mean, it's because
Yeah.
right now I'm facing the sunlight. And
Yeah.
usually when I talk to you, I'm facing the other direction and I
Right.
don't get this like intense sunlight in my eyes.
Right. And you decided to turn around today because, it looks better
Right.
if there's some light shining on you instead of like, because otherwise it would look like you're like, in some dark room somewhere in the basement.
In a burrow in my hole. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
actually, it's so funny. You're not the first one to mention the prison cell because I
Oh,
had
we
my
should
other like
explain what the prison cell means because your window, if you're turned around, there's a window with
yes.
stuff that looks like it's a prison window.
it has like bars, and
Right, with
you
bars.
mentioned
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you mentioned it once, and then I had another friend over, and she was like, "Do you feel like it's kind of a prison sometimes?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, why does everyone keep
Yeah.
saying that?" I don't feel that way, but
Yeah.
already two people mentioned that it
Yeah.
feels like a prison because of the bars, and also
Yeah.
because the window is so large. It's like a huge window. It's like pretty big, I feel like. And across that window, there's like bars, and it might feel that as a prison.
Yeah, and I feel like we should also explain to people that that's because, you can't change that because you're living in a, what is it, a student dorm in Italy. And,
Yes, yes,
there's,
yeah.
yeah, so there's
No,
nothing you
obviously I
can do.
can't. Yeah, I'm renting. I'm renting either way. I can't really change anything about it.
Yeah.
But so interestingly, I didn't feel that way. You felt that way, and the other friend that came over also felt that way.
Do you want to show
But
it to people? Because I feel like we're just describing it and just people like they have no idea. But if not, it's
sure,
fine.
sure. Hold on. Mhm. Sure. Okay, this. I mean, it's fine though. Like, it's nice. Do
Well,
you
I
see?
mean,
It's nice.
the outside looks nice, but it looks like you're locked in somewhere.
No. Hello. It's fine. I
It
really
looks
like
like
it.
if you just see the window, it looks like you're in a nice Italian prison somewhere.
No. Hello. But again, you see, that's weird. That I didn't feel that way, but you and my other friend did feel that way. That it was like
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of a prison feeling.
Yeah, because I
Weird.
feel like also things look, different on camera. I feel like on camera some things get eccentric. Although
Hmm.
your other friend didn't see it on camera, she saw it in real life, right, when she came to your
Hmm.
room.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I
She
guess it
came here.
just does look like a prison. Oh, which by the way, do you remember when we used to in Almaty, Kazakhstan, for
Hmm.
people who don't know, we also used to live on the first floor. We also had those bars, but the bars were, first of all, in the shape of a sunshine. Do you remember those? It was like a small
And they
circle
were white.
right in the middle, and then like rays going from the sunshine all sides.
Yes,
And then yes, it was painted white. And I
yes.
remember even back then thinking, and which by the way, again, we that wasn't our choice. When we moved in, that's how it was. And I remember even then thinking, oh, that's such a funny choice that the Soviets, by the way, because it's such an old building. It was built like in
Yeah.
1960s, right? So it had to be the
Yes,
Soviets
yes,
that built
yes.
it. They must have thought, okay, so this is a first floor building. We have to put some bars in there. Well, we can't make it feel like a fucking prison. So
Yeah.
they came up with this creative decision to make it look like a sun with rays and painted white. Like,
No,
how
because
genius is that?
it's not unheard of to have bars on the first floor. Like,
Right, just
it's
just don't
very
make it look like a
common.
freaking prison.
I don't feel like it's a present. Some people
Well,
do for some reason.
but also at the same, don't you think like couldn't they have just put a little bit of thought in there and just put that, they could have put that sun thing
Mm,
in there, right? And painted it white.
I guess.
I mean, I guess it would
I
look a little bit more corny, but I was wondering what they do in other countries, but I was living in the States on the first floor as well. They gave us,
Yeah.
they had these grad student townhouses that we were living
Hmm.
in. And in my room, I was living on the first floor, and it was a window, and there was nothing
Hmm.
there
Really?
except the net, that insect net that they put.
There was nothing there?
Nothing. And I remember feeling a
Really?
little weird, like, wait, so what if so anyone just like at night can just, break the window and just also the window was so low. Like it was like at my knee length. Like anyone could just like walk in. Actually,
Climb.
they
Yeah,
right. They didn't even if my window was open, they didn't even have to break anything. They just had to like with a knife, they could just cut the thing, cut the net, and just
right.
literally step in. No one cares
I
about
don't.
my safety here, I guess.
No, I know. Yeah, because um, even though you cannot enter this like background without a key, right? You need to have a key to get into the background. Um, playground kind of place. Still, like for example, a couple days ago, I did hear like people like in the middle of the night. It was like 12, I think. Like midnight. People like talking there. I didn't know who they were. Presumably, they were like people from the next, like from the second floor, hanging out in the background. But if what if they weren't? What if they were just like random people who randomly like stumbled into this house and like made their way in? And I kind of felt like, hey, I have these bars, so nobody's really gonna enter my room because if it wasn't for the bars, it would have been really easy for them to come in,
Right. Mhm.
even though the area is protected with.
Well, also, I feel like in the States, it probably differs because, I was living in Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia, which I heard, I'm not sure that it's apparently like one of the like highest earning zip codes.
Hmm.
And, it was very serene, calm, and quiet in there. Like I felt very safe at all times when I was there. So maybe just because of, extremely low crime rates, everyone feels safe and no one feels like, we have to worry about something. Meanwhile, I feel like
Yeah.
it probably depends, right? In the States is like such a large, big country that probably depends state to
Yeah.
state and also area to area within each state. Because I remember when
Yeah.
I first moved to LA. Did you know, did I tell you, like literally the second I moved into my new apartment in LA, which everything was weird about me moving in there. Like there was no one even like met me. It was just like,
Uh-huh.
well, to be fair, I came in the evening. I think it was a weekend as well. So like there was just no one there.
Hmm.
I just had to take my keys from the security guard downstairs, which I think there was some weird thing there as well. I think he didn't even know who I was, that I was supposed to come. Like I was like, they were supposed to leave you the keys for me. She's like, yeah, no one told me. Like what
Uh-huh.
keys? And then I was like, yeah, the keys. Like they told me that they wouldn't be here, so they would leave the keys, with you, such and such apartment. He was like, oh, okay. And then he went and just gave me the keys.
Oh, and also it's not like random Airbnb for like 24 hours. It's like
And so I
long
wo
term stay.
Yeah, and so I woke up, and by the way, also I'm not used to like when I was moving into my Virginia Arlington apartment, it was like, there was a concierge. They gave me that thing, like the fancy thing that at the
Mhm.
hotels with wheels that they give you where you put all of your baggage so that you don't have to carry it. You just like kind of push it
Yeah.
on wheels
Yeah.
so that you can take it upstairs when you're moving in. It was like all so fancy, so like regimented, planned. And like in LA, it's like no one knows. Because yeah, you call, okay, here's your keys. And then I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. And I was just like kind of getting my bags upstairs.
God.
And like I take it up and then I enter the apartment and I just push it all in. And then I close the door and I hear bang, 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 bang. What's that? And I think those were gunshots.
Were they really gunshots?
Yes, I think that's what it was because I
Oh,
didn't hear them afterwards again. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, but welcome to LA, I guess.
I know. No, there's a TikTok that I want to send you where the guy is like, I can't believe that I'm like in my hometown in Dagestan, and then he hears like gunshots firing, and he's like, "Oh, I'm home. I'm home."
And then, which, by the way, and then the next morning, literally 6, I woke up at 6 a.m. I just moved in, so I'm like,
Oh
I
my
want some
gosh!
coffee. I don't have any
Right?
coffee. I don't have my coffee machine. So I'm like, I'm gonna go out, find some coffee shop. Because in Virginia, I'm used to, early morning, people going to work, 6, 7 a.m., getting coffee at some coffee shop down the street, and
Hmm.
I'm like going outside. I'm like, oh, and I looked up on Google Maps. I'm like, okay, the nearest Starbucks is very close. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the Starbucks. It opens at 6 a.m. And I'm just like walking there, and it's just like homeless people just stalking me.
Oh my god!
Someone in the street just like shitting themselves,
Yeah.
needles, and I'm just like, wait, what is
My
going
god.
on?
My
And I also
god.
need some like household items, like cleaning items, because I was like, okay, I need to clean this apartment. So I also saw that across the street from Starbucks, there's a CVS
Hmm.
that I think is like 24/7 or something. And I'm like, I'm gonna
Hmm.
go there as well. And I go to the CVS. Oh my God, the biggest mistake. Apparently, homeless people like to hang out by the
Oh, I
CVS.
remember. Yeah, yeah, you told me. Yeah, there was this like crazy guy who.
Someone's screaming by the CVS.
Yes, yeah,
And
yeah.
I go in, like, just weird people talking. I don't know if it's to me or to
Mm,
themselves.
mm, mm.
God knows, who knows? I don't know. It was
Yeah,
so weird.
yeah.
I remember that was my first impression of LA when I first moved there. I'm like, oh my God, just
Oh
people not
God.
doing their job, gunshots, feces, needles,
And it's
homeless
not
people that
even like
are
you
talking
were.
to me or to someone I don't know who.
And it's
6
not even
a.m. in the
like you
morning.
were in this like bad neighborhood. You were like in a
The
relatively
middle, the
okay neighborhood.
the
Yeah,
middle of LA,
it wasn't
right in
like
the middle, right
quote
by
unquote the hoods.
right by the synagogue, Bank of or Chase Bank,
Yeah.
Starbucks, CVS, Main Street. What was the street? God damn, it was like a
I
few
mean,
years
it
ago.
wasn't like outside of the city
Wilshire.
center.
Wilshire.
Mhm.
Although probably people who know LA will be like, well, what are you doing in the center of LA? You should go you should go outside of LA. If you want to be safe, you need to be like Beverly Hills, maybe Malibu.
No.
But even then, I moved to Malibu, and even then, if anyone knows that LA area in Malibu, Malibu is the area where like there's no pedestrians because there's literally
Yeah.
no sidewalk for pedestrians along the Malibu. It's just for cars. It's a highway that's just for cars. And then there's all these beach houses, the oceanfront houses. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not meant for, so there's not supposed to be anyone walking there. So, there shouldn't be any homeless people. But by the time that it was like, what was it, like 2020 and onwards, that was it. And that's why Joe Rogan moved out of the rich areas of the LA area and was like, I don't want anything to do with this shit anymore because the homeless people even got to our parts of the city.
I mean, it's not like there shouldn't be any homeless people. Like, they can be anywhere, but like the fact that there were no the like sidewalks where you can walk to get like to go to like a coffee shop or a grocery store, it's really strange.
Oh, Malibu is really strange. And that's why I feel like probably part of why they say if you're in LA or maybe even in California, you have to have a car, you have to be driving because you can't just get around. It's only made for
Right.
people who drive. And Malibu is
Yeah.
like the extreme of that. In LA, you can't walk because of the dirt, like the little dirt. I'm not talking about people, but also there's, like homeless people shooting themselves up and literally, leaving feces on the street.
Yes.
So that's like the middle of LA, but then, even outside of LA in the richer areas, like I said, where I eventually moved, there were still, homeless people like we saw on our cameras trying to open our doors. Again, even
Um,
though there's no sidewalks. And I actually agree with you that a city without sidewalks is a doomed city. It's not going to survive because a city is supposed to be for people. It's supposed to be for walking. And if you're not
walkable,
that,
walkable,
you are
yeah.
destined to just, maybe you just,
And also, usually you wanna have like the area around the city center is the safest one, not area outside the city center.
I feel like it differs from country to country and city to city. It's like kind of, how like in most
No, but like
Asian and
usually though.
well, I feel like, for example,
No, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
if we take like, like cities, big cities, London, New York and stuff, like the very center, like, like the main streets or you know, I feel like those are the busiest places, and because of that, they are the least safe places because there's just so much traffic.
I would think that because they're so busy, they're like less dangerous
Well,
because there are like so many people.
statistically, that's not how it works. Just like, for example, big cities are way more dangerous and there's way more crime in big cities compared to small towns. In small towns,
It
there's way less crime because everyone knows each other. You know,
knows each other. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
committing
I
crimes is
guess.
and getting away with it is way more difficult, while in big cities it's way easier. So big cities tend to have way more crime per as a percentage, not just in absolute terms, but even as a percentage.
But usually I would think that like staying around the city center would be safer than going outside the city.
No, I feel like you're going by like Almaty standards, maybe.
No, in like here too and in Prague as well, you know.
So maybe I guess maybe if a place is if it stays like kind of a little big but not too big, i- that works. But I feel like once you cross some threshold of like maybe beyond, say, 10
Like
million,
yeah, 10 million people
like
per. Yeah, yeah. I
LA, New
guess, I guess.
York, that's it. There's just no way of controlling that chaos.
I maybe.
Also, I feel like just statistically, cities have way more crime than towns.
No, that's definitely true. Yeah, it's just like when you are in a city, I would feel like the safest place to be is like around the city center. The further away you go, the less safe you feel.
Again,
You
I feel
know?
like that's only true when you're talking about relatively small cities in smaller countries with smaller populations. Italy, Kazakhstan,
Maybe.
like not LA and New York.
Or I mean, then it would be like or Prague or Milan. So actually,
Well,
hold on.
it doesn't
Let's
matter how you
Google.
feel, right? I feel like the statistics support kind of another story.
Mm.